Evening.
Yeah, good evening. Evening. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Okay, so in the last class,
Yes, sir.
we had done the epithelial tissue. All right, we had done the epithelial tissue, and in epithelial tissue, so in the case of epithelial tissue, we had seen different functions. We had seen the functions of all the tissues. We had seen how the different tissues look like. Okay, just let me share the screen. Is the screen being shared? Are you able to see the screen? Okay, see. So this is what we were doing. We had done the cuboidal epithelium, we had done the columnar epithelium, okay, and we had seen some of the functions also. So just as a review, just let's have a look at what were their functions and what were their locations. So Pranav,
Yes, sir.
okay. Uh, what are the different types of epithelial tissue?
So, squamous epithelium,
Yeah,
columnar epithelium, cuboidal epithelium.
okay. We have columnar epithelium, squamous, cuboidal. Anything else?
That's
Hmm. Yeah, is there anything else? Sampath? Sampath, is there anything else?
No, sir.
Okay. What about stratified squamous? Ciliated columnar. Like, so the squamous tissue, it is flat in structure. Right? The cuboidal epithelium, the cells are cubical in shape. That means the length, breadth, height are almost the same. It is cubical in shape. For the columnar epithelium, the cells are pillar-like. So in the columnar epithelium, the cells columnar epithelium, the cells are pillar-like. Okay. So what is the function of the squamous epithelium? Sharwan? Yeah, Sharwan.
Yes, sir.
So can you tell where do we find squamous epithelium and what are its functions?
I don't know.
Okay, so just have a look at this where we had discussed squamous epithelium. Okay. The cells of squamous epithelium, they are extremely thin and fat and form a delicate lining. They form a delicate lining. What is their function? So their function is they are forming the lining of the esophagus, lining of the mouth, lining of blood vessels, lining of alveoli of lungs, lining of Bowman's capsule of nephron. Okay. So, Sarvan, can you tell?
Yes, sir.
Sarvan?
So what's the question?
Yeah. So, see, where do we find the squamous epithelia? Shravan,
Yes, sir.
where do we find the squamous epithelia?
From in the station.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
I don't
This-
know.
Yes. So see, squamous epithelium, the cells are flat, delicate, and they form the linings of esophagus. They form the lining of mouth. They form the lining of the blood vessels. Okay. So what all blood vessels do we have? Sharwan, what all types of blood vessels do we have? Shravan,
Yes, sir.
what are the types of blood vessels that we have?
I don't know, sir.
You don't know. Okay. Harshit, can you tell what are the different types of blood vessels that we have?
Sir, veins and
Very good.
sir, I don't remember the another name, but we also have capillaries.
Yes. So it is arteries,
Yes.
the arteries, veins, and capillaries. Alright. So arteries, veins, and capillaries. इसमें किसने बोला? किसने बोला इसको? So their lining, that means their coverings or their inner linings, they are formed with the help of squamous epithelium. Inside our mouth, the cheek cells, they are also made up of the squamous epithelial tissue. Alright. About the cuboidal epithelium, let's see the cuboidal epithelium. The cells, they are tube-like. Okay. They form the lining of the kidney tubule and the ducts. So both the squamous tissue as well as the cuboidal tissue, they are present in the kidney. But where the cuboidal tissue, they are forming the uh, lining of kidney tubules. They are forming the lining of kidney tubules, whereas for the squamous epithelium, they are forming the lining of Bowman's capsule, which is a part of kidney, which mainly performs the function of blood filtration. So Bowman's capsule generally looks like this. I had drawn you the diagram in the next previous class also. So in the lining of this Bowman's capsule is made with the help of, this is your Bowman's capsule. We call this as the Bowman's capsule. This is your Bowman's capsule. Okay. So its lining, inner and outer, it is made up of with the epithelial tissue. So these cells are cube shaped. Also, they form the duct of the salivary glands. So duct means the pipes of the salivary glands.
Hey, ये मेरे से जल्दी बता ये गंदी बात है बिल्कुल नहीं
So kidney. Now the columnar epithelium. The columnar epithelium, the cells are pillar-like here, and these pillar-like cells, as you can see, they have different functions. Their functions somewhere they are absorptive in nature, somewhere they are required for absorption, somewhere they are required for secretion, somewhere at some places they are required as a sensory epithelium. Okay, so these are the three functions which are dedicated with columnar epithelium. They can either do the function of absorption, they can either do the function of secretion, or they can do the function of sensory, they sense. Okay. So ciliated epithelium here, what are their functions? It consists of tall cells. All the columnar cells, they consist of tall cells here. So they are pillar-like. When they are present in the intestine, so in the intestine when they are present, they perform the function of absorption. The nutrients of the food, they are absorbed with these epithelial cells. And over there, they have the presence of cilia. Right? So they perform their function of absorption of the nutrients from the food. Right? So where they are, these are of three types. The columnar epithelium, they can be either ciliated epithelium, or they can be glandular epithelium, or they can be sensory epithelium. The ciliated epithelium, as the name suggests, it has the presence of cilia. Cilia means hair-like structures are present on its surface. So here you will observe, you can see some hair-like structures. If they are present over here, they will be called as ciliated epithelium. Okay. At some places, they will be performing the function of secretory functions. So they will be called over there as glandular epithelium. Right? At some places, they will be performing sensory function. You see, ciliated epithelium cells have cilia at their free end, which help in movement of small particles. They form the lining of the fallopian tube, respiratory tract. Okay. So whenever they have the presence of cilia, they facilitate movement. They are there to facilitate movement. In the glandular epithelium, the cells are modified to form glands. So our salivary glands and other glands, a few of them where we have these ciliated epithelium or this columnar epithelium modified to form the glands. That means glands are the organs which secrete something into the body. They may be sweat glands, they may be sebaceous glands. So it is the it is formed by the epithelium cells, which is the glandular epithelium. Then you have sensory epithelium. The sensory epithelium, they sense. So cells modify to form sensory cells. Sensory cells, example rod cells and corn cells, taste buds, organ of corti of internal ear. So, in our eye, rod cells and corn cells, they are the cells which are present in our eyes and they perceive the light. So rod and corn cells present in the eye, they form the retina. Then you have complex epithelial tissues. So in the complex epithelial tissue, we had studied about the stratified squamous epithelium. Okay, Sharwan. Shravan?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now can you tell me where do you find squamous epithelial tissue?
Uh, say the lung alveolus.
So what are they? Shravan, can you tell? Okay, Shravan, first tell me the names of all the epithelial tissue.
Okay, sir. So, squamous,
Hmm.
then cuboidal,
Hmm.
columnar,
Okay, squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. Anything else?
and stratified squamous.
Okay. What are the different types of the cuboidal tissue?
Um,
The
cuboidal.
different types of cuboidal tissue. Harshit, what are the different types of cuboidal tissue?
The cuboidal. So
Yeah, different types of
ciliated
the cuboidal
cuboidal,
tissue.
cuboidal, uh,
Hmm. Ciliated.
and cuboidal.
No, you have ciliated cuboidal, glandular cuboidal,
And-
and sensory cuboidal.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So, Jitendra.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, Jitendra, where do we find the squamous epithelium?
Sir, in the lining of mouth.
Lining of mouth, lining of the Bowman's capsule, and lining of the blood vessels.
Sir, lining of esophagus.
Yeah, lining of the esophagus. All right. Then, where do we find cuboidal epithelium?
Then the lining
Sir,
of kidney,
lining of kidney
Kidney
tubules.
Lining of the kidney tubules. Very good.
ducts of salivary glands.
Okay. Ducts of the salivary gland. Very good. And where all we find the columnar epithelium? Yeah, where all we find the columnar tissue?
The respiratory tracts.
Yeah, today also we did this. So columnar tissue, they are present in the intestine, or they form the lining of the intestine where they perform the function of absorption. They are present in the ciliated cuboidal epithelium. They are from the they form the tracheal lining. They also form the lining of the fallopian tubes wherever the movement is required. Then glandular epithelium, they form the glands. So in the glandular epithelium, they form the glands. All right. Whereas in the sensory epithelium, they are found in the rod and cone cells. The rod and cone cells, they are made up of the cuboidal epithelium only. Okay, now see, we'll see the connective tissue. We'll
Sir.
start today. Yes,
Can I go to washroom?
yes. And all of you keep your camera on. Sampath, Jitendra, Pranav, everyone keep your camera on. Just make your camera on and let it be on during the class. And I shouldn't say it from the next time. All your cameras should be on. So today we'll start with the connective tissue. Harshit, Harshit,
We're doing 1 second.
okay, all right. So the connective tissue are specialized to connect various body organs. So as the name suggests, connective tissue is the tissue which is there and connects the different body organs. Like connective tissue will be there, which will connect the bone to the muscle. Connective tissue will be there, which will connect different organs. Okay. So one of the type of the connective tissue, we call it as we divide this connective tissue into different categories. Okay. And we divide them as loose connective tissue and dense connective tissue. So the connective tissue, commonly called the packing tissue, how the common structure, which is the common structure that we see for this connective tissue is that the cells of connective tissue are living. So if you think that your bone is a dead cell, your bone is not a dead cell. Okay, your bone is made up of living tissue. How does connective tissue consist of? It consists of matrix which may be jelly, like fluid, dense or rigid. For example, of our blood. So our blood is also a type of connective tissue, but it is a fluid connective tissue. Okay. Somewhere it can be loosely spaced, somewhere it can be dense, somewhere it can be rigid, like the ligaments and the tendons. Okay. So ligaments and tendons, they are also made up of fluid connective. They are made up of also the connective tissue only. So for the connective, see where all how the basic structure is. The matrix, there has to be a matrix which may be jelly-like. It can be fluid, dense or rigid depending upon the function. So types of connective tissue, that is, we have connective tissue proper, commonly called the packing tissue. We have these divided under three categories: areolar tissue, which we call as the loose connective tissue, fibrous tissue, and adipose tissue. So they are the connective tissue which we call as the proper connective tissue. The others are skeletal tissue, fluid connective tissue, and the next one is the, of course, the muscular tissue. So we'll first divide this, how we are able to divide the connective tissue. So we'll make a chart and then try to divide the connective tissue. So see, how do we divide this connective tissue? So the connective tissue is, okay. So first of all, it's connective tissue and it can be divided into three heads.
There's two, right? Two types.
Yeah.
There are only two types, muscular tissue and nervous tissue.
Which one?
So muscular tissue and nervous tissue.
Yeah, muscular tissue and nervous tissue, they are not the types of connective tissue.
Okay, fine.
Okay. We are doing in the animal tissue. First, we have the epithelial tissue, which are forming the covering. Then after the
Okay.
epithelial tissue, you have the connective tissue, right?
Yes, sir.
Which perform the function of connection. Then after connective tissue, you have the muscular tissue, which has
Okay,
its
sir.
role in doing some work. Whatever work is done or power is required, that is obtained by the muscular tissue. Then you have the nervous tissue, and the function of the nervous tissue is making connections, transferring information, right? That is the role of the
Yes, sir.
nervous tissue. So here we are doing connective tissue. So what all different types of connective tissue you have? So the first type of connective tissue we hear is connective tissue proper. So this we call connective tissue proper. Then so connective tissue proper. The next one is skeletal tissue, which is also a type of connective tissue. So we can write here skeletal tissue. This is also a type of connective tissue. Then the third type of this connective tissue which we see is so third type of connective tissue which we see fluid connective tissue. So this one is fluid connective tissue. Okay. So now these are again divided. So the fluid connective tissue is divided further into two types. There are two types of fluid connective tissue. So the two types of fluid connective tissue, they are blood and lymph. These are the two types of fluid connective tissue in our body. So you have the blood. Okay, I want all of you to make the chart. Please, all of you make the chart. So this will be blood and lymph. So blood and lymph, these are the two types of fluid connective tissue. Got it? Then in the connective tissue proper, we have different types of connective tissue proper. That is, here we list out first the connective tissue proper, the different elements of the connective tissue proper. Okay, so connective tissue proper, it can be either areolar tissue or it can be adipose tissue or it can be fibrous tissue. So in the fibrous tissue, we'll discuss. There are still some types of fibrous tissue also that will. Then in the skeletal tissue also has, as you can say, the skeletal tissue. It can be bone. There are types of skeletal tissue, bone. Then you have ligaments and tendons. Okay. So bone, ligament, and tendons. These are the types. These are the types of skeletal tissue. All right. In the fluid connective tissue, we'll just describe blood and lymph also. How do blood and lymph, they also how they are made up of. So the basic structure of all the connective tissue will be that there will be a jelly-like material. Okay, a jelly-like or a fluid material will be there, right? So after that jelly-like material or whatever material is there, then in that you will have the presence of some cells, some spaces, that functionality will be there. So you will have a matrix, then that matrix will be developed. All right. So is it clear to everyone? Now is this connective tissue clear to everyone? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, so, just one minute. Okay. So connective tissue proper is divided as areolar tissue, adipose tissue, and fibrous tissue. As the name suggests, the areolar tissue, it has air gaps in it. Okay. So areolar tissue, its density is very less. It has air gaps in it. Adipose tissue, it is a fat storage tissue. It is generally used for storing of fats. So the name adipose, it is because of that only. Adipose means fat. So adipose tissue is for fat storage. And we have some fibrous tissue also. The skeletal tissue, they have their different roles, and the blood. So let's see, first we move to this one, the fibrous tissue. Oh, sorry. Okay. So in the fibrous tissue, you have, I made mistake. In the fibrous tissue, you have the areolar tissue or the loose connective tissue, the fibrous tissue, adipose tissue. So adipose tissue is found distributed most abundantly below our skin, which is mainly concerned with storage of fat. So your skin becomes fatty if you are using a lot of fat. There is a lot of development of the adipose tissue. So in your body, the fat is deposited under the skin. The skeletal tissue. So skeletal tissue, it forms both the cartilage and the bone. It's the cartilage and the bone which are formed. So cartilage, if you see your ear, okay, your pinna of ear, uh, is it a bone or a muscle? Can you think? The pinna of your ear. Your nose. Okay. So is it a bone or a muscle? Yes,
Sir,
anyone can
bone.
answer.
Bone.
Is it a bone or a muscle?
Or
Sir, muscle.
muscle.
No, it's neither a bone nor a muscle. It's cartilage. Your ear pinna and your nose. Your nose, see, your nose is tight. Okay, your nose is tight, but still you can press it. You can change the shape of it. Your ear pinna, it is also tight, but still you can fold it. So it's not a bone. It's not a muscle. It is a cartilage. All right. And where else they are found? They form the lining of the trachea. When in your childhood, if you remember, you drew the diagram for uh, lungs. Okay. So in that diagram of the lungs, you had drawn something like this. See, you drew the trachea, and in the trachea, you had made these linings. Do you remember? In the trachea, you make these linings. So what are these linings? These linings, they are made up of the cartilage. which, okay, so they provide a strength to the windpipe. Okay, so that the windpipe, it has some strength and it does not collapse. It prevents the windpipe from collapsing. Have you seen? If you turn off your tap, and if the tap is connected with a garden pipe, so if you turn off the tap, your pipe may collapse. Right? So to avoid the collapsing of the windpipe, there is cartilage. So there is development of cartilage. Right? So this is your cartilage. Even your ear pinna and your notch, they are all cartilages. We'll see bone also in detail. So what is a bone? It is a very strong and non-flexible tissue. So first of all, bone is non-flexible tissue. Okay, bone is not flexible. It's non-flexible tissue. Okay. So bone is, it is a non-flexible tissue. It is not flexible. What is the purpose of a bone? Yes, what is the purpose of bone? The bone provides a shape to the body. All right. The purpose or the function of the bone is providing shape to the body. Right? So the shape of the body is provided by a bone. So these are your skeletal tissue. Now the fluid connective tissue, as you know, the fluid connective tissue is blood and lymph. So see, what does blood consist of? What does lymph consist of? In the next class, we'll go into the detail of the bone. We'll see how the bone consists of. We'll see how the cartilage is made. So see, the fluid connective tissue, blood. So your blood, it consists of two things here. See? Blood consists of plasma, which forms the matrix, and floating elements. Floating elements means, see how does blood look like. So suppose I make blood over here. So this is your vein, and in this you have this whole thing is a fluid. Okay. So you have water and a plasma. So plasma is a protein. So this whole thing is made up of this protein along with water. So you have a protein, plasma along with water, which forms a fluid. So blood is actually a fluid. Now this is a colorless. Actually, plasma, sorry, not colorless. Plasma is slightly yellowish in color, a little bit yellowish in color. You have the plasma. So this is your plasma, and in this plasma, you have some floating elements, some small tiny elements which keep on floating in this. So what are those elements? You have somewhere RBCs, somewhere you have the WBCs. So you find RBCs floating in it, a number of RBCs floating in the blood vessel. Okay, in the blood you find a number of the WBCs. Okay, so a number of WBCs also being floating in this. All right, so blood is made up of plasma and floating elements. The floating elements, they include RBCs, okay, WBCs, and platelets. Platelets. Okay, so platelets. So these are the elements of which our blood vessel consists of. In the similar way, your lymph. So lymph is also a connective tissue, and it has plasma. The lymph has plasma. Along with plasma, it has some floating elements which are called as lymphocytes. So lymphocytes are the cells of the lymph. Right? So lymphocytes, they are the cells which are present in the lymph. The lymph has its own function, blood has its own function, the bone has its own function, areolar tissue, adipose tissue, they all have their own function. Okay, so let's get back to them again. So here you have the blood. Blood consists of plasma, which is 55% water and remaining is a protein. So it's a plasma. 55% of the blood is made up of plasma only. Out of which 91 to 92% is water. 7 to 8% is the protein, which is made up of albumin, globulin, fibrinogen, and prothrombin. These are the proteins of which the blood plasma is made up of. It has the nutrients, all other things are there, but you don't need to remember all of them. Another important thing, what may be asked somewhere as a GK part is heparin. Okay. So do you see this heparin? Can anyone tell what is heparin? Yeah, what is heparin? Yes, can anyone tell what is heparin? It is a protein. See, there are two important proteins present in our body, the heparin and fibrinogen. Okay. So your fibrinogen is the one which helps in the formation of a blood clot. All right. So fibrinogen helps in the formation of blood clot. And you have the heparin, which is anticoagulant. That means it does not allow the blood to form a clot inside the body. That is the function of heparin. So we'll go into the detail of the blood in your higher classes. Currently, you just know blood corpuscles. Yes, so the blood corpuscles means the floating elements in the blood. The floating elements in the blood, they are RBCs, WBCs, and platelets. Another one, here we have the difference between the ligaments and the tendons. So what is the difference between a ligament and a tendon? Both are elastic and both are used as a connective tissue. They connect bones and muscles. So depending on their use, ligament and tendency. A tendon, it is a strong and non-flexible. So it is strong but non-flexible. Ligament, it is elastic and flexible. So ligament is elastic and flexible. Tendon, it joins muscle to bone. But ligament, it joins bone to bone. For example, at the joints. So ligament will be present at the joints as it is elastic and flexible. Like if you see your knee. So just I'll show you a diagram of the ligament where they are present. Just 1 minute. I'll show you the ligament. Okay, see how the ligaments are present here. Since they are flexible, so they are joining the bottom ones to the top ones. All right. So these are the ligaments which are present here. They are joining these two bones. As you can see, the upper bone and the lower bone. From here also you can see there is a ligament. Here also there is a ligament. So these are the ligaments which are joining bone to bone. And here the movement of the muscles is required. Right? Since the muscles are moving here, sorry, bones are moving. So bones are moving, therefore the ligaments must have flexibility. All right. Whereas the tendons which are there, the tendons, they help in attachment of the bone with the muscles. So they are not necessarily at the joints. They can be at places other than joints also. All right. So just I will show you some tendons also where the tendons are present. So next is tendons. Okay, see. So see here, this is a tendon which is helping this muscle to keep attached with the bone. Right? Here also see, in the knee, the same figure in the knee, you have a tendon which is attaching the muscle cells. The upper one is the muscle tissue and the muscular tissue is attached with the bone with the help of a tendon.
Sir, so what's the
Yes.
difference between ligament and tendon?
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. The tendon is joining bone to bone. So tendon is joining muscle to bone. This muscle is being joined to the bone with the help of a tendon.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Whereas the ligament is joining bone to bone. Like
Okay, sir.
the femur is being joined to the lower bone at the knee joint with the help of a ligament.
Hmm.
All right. So the tendon is not flexible, so it cannot move. It's just working as a joint. Whereas ligament is flexible. So I just compare this ligament also. The ligament is flexible. See, the same thing in the knee. See this part. This upward portion here, this is a tendon. It is joining the bone to bone to muscle. Okay. So upward is a muscle and this white portion you observe here, this is a tendon. It is joining this bone to the muscle. Now here on the side, just let me show it again. So see here. This is a muscle, the upward portion is a muscle and this muscle is joined to the bone with the help of this tendon. So this is a tendon now. This portion is the tendon. It is non-flexible. Here this one is the ligament. See the upward bone is joined to the lower bone with the help of this tendon. Can you see here? So here also you have a tendon, here also you have a tendon. Alright. And in between also you have tendons joining the two muscles, joining the two bones. Okay. So the tendons, we can write here now that this is a very important questions are asked from this part as a difference between ligament and tendon. So what is a ligament? So ligament, it is the tissue that connect bone to bone. Okay, so ligament is connected in bone to bone. We can say it is flexible, so ligament, it is flexible. Then about the tendons. So the work of the tendon is it join muscle to bone. Okay. So tendons join muscle to bone and they are not flexible. All right. Understood everyone, ligament and tendon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now in the bone tissue, we have studied about, just 1 minute, we'll see some more about the connected blood platelets, bone. Yeah. So see, these are your this is the structure of a bone. So how a bone looks like? You have a cannulus that contains slender process of bone cell or osteocytes. So see, these which you see small structures. They are your bone cells, which are also called as osteocytes. Ligaments, tendons, cartilages. Okay, areolar tissue. Let's have a look at areolar tissue also. So areolar tissue, it is supporting and packing tissue found between organs, lying in body cavity. It is located between. So this we'll do, I think, in the next class. It shall be better to do this in the next classes. All right. So everyone has understood what we did today.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this table you should remember. If you remember the table, you will be able to get all the connective tissue. Anyone having any doubts? Is there any doubt to anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, so all right. Bye everyone. See you again in next class.
Thank
Okay,
you,
are you
sir. Bye.
okay? Where do you make the notes? Are you making notes here or are you having a school notes?
So what?
What about your notes? Are you making the notes?
Yes, sir. I made notes.
Okay.
Hello.
Okay, so just make the notes. We'll see you again in next class. Bye everyone.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Bye.